Welcome to Coffee Break. Thoughtful conversations for a busy world. Let's begin. I want you to picture a very specific moment. It's Monday morning.
Okay.
Or maybe it's the first of the month. Even better. Maybe it's January 1st.
Oh, the big one.
The big one. The sun is streaming into the window, the coffee smells incredible, and you have this electric buzzing feeling in your chest.
I'm with you.
You look at your desk, which is currently just a disaster zone of sticky notes and half-finished projects. You look at your calendar, which is a graveyard of missed appointments and, skipped gym sessions.
A familiar sight.
And suddenly you have this moment of absolute clarity. You think, burn it all down.
The scorched earth policy, a classic move.
Exactly. You think, I'm going to scrap all of this. I'm throwing away this planner. I'm archiving this messy email thread.
I'm buying a brand new notebook.
The expensive one. The one with the thick paper.
Of course.
I am resetting the counter to 0. And in that moment, tell me you don't feel like a god of productivity.
Oh, it's a power trip.
It feels like redemption. It feels like this time, finally, the real you has arrived.
It is intoxicating. I mean, it's probably one of the most seductive feelings a human being can have.
Why, though? What is that?
It feels like you are finally taking control of a chaotic universe. For a brief second, everything is possible again.
But here's the problem, and this is the uncomfortable truth we are going to be swimming in today. That feeling, that rush of Monday morning fresh start energy, it might actually be the single biggest thing holding you back from ever finishing anything meaningful.
That's a bold statement.
It feels like the solution, but it's actually the trap.
It's a harsh reality check to start with, isn't it? But we have to go there.
We have to.
We are doing a deep dive today into a fascinating breakdown from Coffee Break, specifically episode 059, titled Breaking the Cycle of Endless Restarts.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It really is. And the core thesis here is going to make a lot of perfectionists, squirm.
I know I did.
It suggests that what we often label as discipline, that urge to wipe the slate clean and do it right this time, is often just a disguise for avoidance.
That's the word. That's the word that stopped me in my tracks when I was going through the source material. Avoidance.
It's a loaded word.
Because I have to confess to you and to everyone listening, I am a serial restarter. I am that guy who buys new running shoes because I missed a week of jogging, thinking the shoes are the reset button.
Right. New gear, new me.
Exactly. And I always frame that as being motivated. I thought, look at me, I'm recommitting, I'm trying to be better. But this source is saying, that might be a lie I'm telling myself.
It's not necessarily a malicious lie.
Yeah.
But it is a psychological trap. It's a mechanism.
A mechanism for what?
The source argues that we aren't restarting because we're disorganized or, because the old system was broken. We're restarting because of a deep-seated, often subconscious emotional issue.
Okay.
An issue involving perfectionism and a craving for safety.
Safety. See, that's where I get stuck. How is starting over safe? Starting over is expensive. It takes time. You lose all your previous work. Logically, starting over seems incredibly risky.
You're thinking about logical safety resources, time, money, practical safety.
Right.
But we need to talk about emotional safety. We need to talk about the safety of the ego.
The ego, okay.
That is the mission for this deep dive. We need to unpack why the human brain is so addicted to the clean slate, why we are terrified of what the source calls the messy middle, and how to actually finish big projects when that initial dopamine rush wears off and, reality sets in.
All right, let's get into the machinery of this. I want to start with section 1, the illusion of productivity, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's a magic trick we play on ourselves.
Precisely. Let's look at the physiology of the restart. Why does it feel so good? What's happening there?
The source has the specific quote that I highlighted, and I think it's the perfect place to start. It says, starting over feels productive. Sometimes it's just avoidance.
There's that word again.
So walk me through the brain chemistry there. Why does deleting a draft feel so much better than fixing a bad sentence?
Think about what happens when you're in the middle of a project. Let's say you're writing a report, or maybe you're coding a new app. You're in the weeds.
Deep in the weeds.
You're on page 10. It's clunky. The arguments aren't flowing. The code is buggy. You're tired. What is your brain registering in that moment?
Stress, high friction, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Definitely imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I'm not good at this. This is a mess.
Exactly. You are experiencing what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Your internal self-image, your ego, says, I am a smart, capable, organized person.
I'm a pro.
I'm a pro. But the external evidence, the messy draft on the screen says, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And that gap, that dissonance, creates psychological pain. It's uncomfortable. Now, the moment you hit delete and open a blank document, what happens to that pain?
It vanishes instantly.
It evaporates. And it's immediately replaced by a dopamine spike.
Why? What's the trigger for the dopamine?
Because a blank page is full of infinite potential. A blank page hasn't failed you yet. A blank page doesn't have any typos. It doesn't have any structural flaws.
It's perfect.
It is, in its own way, perfect. So, by restarting, you are trading the immediate discomfort of problem solving
Which is hard.
for the immediate gratification of potential. And our brains will choose that gratification almost every time.
That is. Wow. So we're basically drug addicts. We're chasing the high of the idea of the project rather than dealing with the reality of the work.
In a way, yes. We're addicted to the feeling of starting. The source calls this the illusion of productivity.
Because you feel busy.
You feel incredibly busy. Think about it. You are setting up the new Trello board. You are color-coding the calendar. You are researching the best note-taking app.
Oh, the hours I've lost to researching note-taking apps.
It feels like work. Your hands are moving. You are typing. But functionally.
Yeah.
You're just moving furniture around while the house is burning down. You're not actually putting out the fire.
That's brutal. But I think I need to push back a little here, just to play devil's advocate.
Please do.
Isn't there some value in a fresh start? I mean, sometimes a project is just broken, right? Sometimes you do need to burn the house down because the foundation is rotten.
That's a fair point. And the source doesn't say never restart. Of course not. There is a time for a strategic pivot.
Okay.
But the source asks us to examine the frequency and the trigger.
The why behind the restart.
Precisely. If you restart once because the market strategy changed or, the data proved you wrong, that's pivoting. That's smart business.
That's a conscious, data-driven decision.
But if you restart every time things get difficult or every time the organization gets a little messy, that's a pattern. That's pathology. And that's where this other concept from the source comes in. Perfectionism disguised as motivation.
That phrase is really interesting to me. Perfectionism disguised as motivation. Because usually we think of perfectionists as people who are obsessed with details, or maybe they work too hard.
Right, the stereotype.
We think of the person staying late to align the fonts. But you're saying perfectionism is actually what stops them from working.
100%. We tend to applaud revamped culture, especially in corporate settings.
Yeah.
You see this all the time. A new manager comes in.
First thing they do.
Oh, we're doing a strategic pivot. We're rebranding. We're throwing out the old system and implementing a new one.
It looks decisive. It looks like leadership.
It looks like high standards.
Yeah.
It looks like a commitment to excellence. But the source argues that for the serial restarter, this perfectionism isn't a strength. It's a fragility.
Fragility. That's a heavy word. How is it fragile?
Because it means your work cannot withstand error. If your standard is flawless execution from start to finish, then the moment a flaw appears, which is inevitable because we are humans living in a chaotic world.
It's guaranteed to happen.
The moment it happens, your brain flags the entire project as contaminated.
Contaminated, like a crime scene. That's a powerful word.
Yes, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, imagine you're on a diet, a really strict, clean eating diet. And on Wednesday afternoon, you slip up and you eat a cookie.
Just one cookie.
Just one. A non-perfectionist says, oops, that was a cookie. That was tasty. Back to salad for dinner. The process continues.
Makes sense.
The perfectionist says, well, the day is ruined. The streak is broken. The purity is gone. I might as well eat the whole box of cookies, order a pizza, and start again on Monday.
I feel so seen right now. That is exactly the logic. It's an all-or-nothing binary. The data set is corrupt, delete, and reinstall.
Correct. And this is the key insight from the source here. You aren't restarting to get to the finish line faster. You are restarting to purge the evidence of your imperfection.
To get rid of the bad feeling.
You're trying to get back to that state of virgin potential. If you haven't made any mistakes yet, you want that clean feeling back.
So the motivation to buy the new planner isn't about being organized. It's about shame.
It's about anxiety management. It's a coping mechanism. You're managing the anxiety of not being perfect by wiping the slate clean.
You are protecting your ego.
You are protecting your ego from the evidence of your own humanity.
Wow. Okay, that leads us directly into the emotional side of this, which I think is the core of the whole thing. We're moving into section 2 here. the emotional safety of the clean slate. We touched on safety, but I want to go deeper. Why is the blank page so emotionally safe?
Think about identity. We all construct an identity for ourselves. It's the story we tell ourselves about who we are.
I am a disciplined person. I am a creative genius. I am a healthy athlete.
Right. We hold these avatars in our heads, the best versions of ourselves.
Sure. The avatar we want to be, the person we're aspiring to be.
Exactly. When you are at the start of a journey, that avatar is safe. It's pristine. You can fantasize that this time you will go to the gym 7 days a week.
No problem.
This time the novel will be a bestseller. This time the marketing campaign will go viral. The gap between your fantasy self and your reality hasn't been exposed yet.
The blank page doesn't talk back. It doesn't argue with you. It just agrees with your fantasy.
Exactly. But the moment you are 3 weeks in, let's use the gym example again. You've missed 2 workouts. You're tired. Your muscles are sore, but you don't see abs yet. The scale hasn't moved.
The brutal reality.
Now you have evidence. And the evidence says you are not a superhero. You are not the fitness model on Instagram. You are just a tired person trying to exercise.
And that's the unsafe part, the reality check.
That is the threat to the ego. The messy middle is a mirror. It shows you your limits. It shows you your mediocrity.
And for a perfectionist.
For a perfectionist, seeing their own mediocrity is excruciating. It feels like a personal failure. It feels like death.
It reminds me of that famous gap concept Ira Glass talks about for creatives.
Yes. Tell me more.
He says that everyone who gets into creative work does it because they have good taste.
Yeah.
But for the first couple of years, what you're making isn't that good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it's not. And your taste is what's killing you.
Because your taste is good enough to tell you that what you're making is a disappointment.
Exactly. The gap between your ambition and your actual output.
That is a perfect analogy. You know what a great podcast sounds like, but your recording sounds tinny. You know what a great painting looks like, but yours looks like a smudge.
And what does the source say happens at that point?
The source points out that this is the crosswords. This is the moment of truth. When the work becomes clunky, and it always becomes clunky, the perfectionist brain screams, abort!
Abort! Abort!
Because it interprets the clunkiness, the gap, as a system error.
System failure. Reboot. They think, if I was truly good at this, if I was a real genius, it wouldn't be this hard. It wouldn't look this bad.
Right. But the non-perfectionist, the person who actually finishes things, the professional, they interpret the clunkiness differently.
How so?
They don't see it as a bug. They see it as a feature.
A feature of what? That sounds counterintuitive.
A feature of creation. A feature of the process itself. You cannot build a house without making a mess. You cannot cook a meal without generating dirty dishes. You can't write a novel without a terrible first draft.
So the mess.
The mess isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're working.
I want to hold on to that because that reframing is huge. That's a really big deal.
It's everything.
But before we get to the solution, we'll talk about where most of us die. Let's go there. Section 3. The uncomfortable middle.
The great wasteland.
The source calls this the zone of progress, but honestly, when I'm in it, it feels like the zone of despair.
It is the doldrums. Think about the old sailing maps. You had the excitement of leaving, the harbor crowds cheering, flags waving. That's the start.
That's the dopamine rush.
Then you have the excitement of seeing land, the destination. That's the finish line.
The reward.
But the middle, you were just surrounded by water. For weeks, you're out of snacks. The crew is grumpy. You're rationing water.
Yeah.
And you can't see the destination. You can't even see where you came from. You are just stuck.
And the initial adrenaline is long gone. The New Year's resolution energy has completely evaporated by February 15th.
Completely gone. And this is where the cycle of abandonment kicks in. The source breaks this down into 3 steps, which we've touched on.
Quitting, resetting.
And then losing momentum.
We've talked about quitting and resetting, but losing momentum sounds passive. The source implies it's actually damaging. Like, we aren't just losing time, we're losing capacity.
You're losing resilience. Think about it like a muscle. If you only ever lift the weight when you feel fresh and strong, and the moment your muscle starts to burn, you drop it and walk away.
Yeah.
Do you ever get stronger?
No. You just get really good at picking up the weight and maybe putting it back on the rack.
Bingo. You become a professional starter, you get really good at the first 10% of any project.
You're an expert at buying domain names.
An absolute expert. You're an expert at writing the first chapter. You're an expert at creating the first slide of the presentation. But you atrophy the muscle required for the other 90%.
The middle muscle.
The middle muscle. the grit muscle. You never learn how to troubleshoot. You never learn how to push through boredom. And let's be honest, boredom is where the real work happens.
The source uses a logic here that creates a really vivid analogy in my head. It's like building a house.
Go on. I like this.
Okay, so imagine you're building a house. You pour the foundation. It's hard work. It's muddy. It's not glamorous, but it's done.
Step 1, complete.
Then you start framing the walls, and you notice a crack in one of the bricks in the basement. Or maybe a window frame is slightly crooked. It's off by 1/4 of an inch.
The inevitable imperfection.
The perfectionist looks at the crooked window and says,
bulldoze it.
Tear it down. We can't build on this. It's imperfect. So they tear it down. They spend all that time and money to pour a new foundation. It's flawless for 3 days.
And then what happens?
Then they drop a hammer and chip the concrete.
Bulldoze it.
And the result is you have a neighborhood full of perfect foundations and 0 houses.
That is such a haunting image. A landscape of perfect foundations and no shelter.
And everyone is just standing around on their perfect foundations, freezing, waiting for the day they can build the perfect house that will never come.
That is the tragedy of the endless restart. You spend your life preparing to live, preparing to work, preparing to be successful.
But never actually inhabiting the structure of your life.
Because you couldn't tolerate the chipped brick.
That hits hard. Preparing to live. I think a lot of us feel that. We're waiting for the time when we're finally organized enough or thin enough or smart enough to start living our real life.
Right. Once I get my routine perfect, then I'll write the book. Or once I finally clean my office, then I'll start the business.
But the book never gets written.
But the irony, as the source points out, is that if you had just kept building on that first imperfect foundation, you could have patched the crack, you could have fixed the window, you'd have a house by now.
It might be a little quirky.
Maybe a quirky house, maybe a house with some character, maybe the floors aren't perfectly level, but it's a house that keeps the rain out. It's a finished thing.
And people live in imperfect houses all the time. We value them. We call it charm.
Exactly. A finished, imperfect thing has infinitely more value than a perfect blueprint for a thing that doesn't exist.
Infinitely more. Okay, so we're stuck in the middle. We have a chipped brick. We feel the urge to bulldoze. We need to talk about the feelings again. Section 4 is about the emotional reality of messy. Because it's not just logic, right? It physically feels bad to look at the mess.
We have to validate that. We have to start there. We aren't robots. The source emphasizes that looking at unfinished work, a sink full of dishes, a draft full of typos, a calendar with missed written on it, creates anxiety. It triggers a physiological response.
It's visual noise. It makes me feel cluttered inside. When my desk is messy, my brain feels messy. It's a 1-to-1 correlation for me.
That's because we view our environment as an extension of our mind. If the work is chaotic, we feel chaotic. And because we judge that chaos as bad.
We want to get rid of it.
We want to clean it up. We want to purge it.
Purge is such a violent word, but that's what it feels like. Get this away from me. Make it clean. It feels like a contamination that I have to get rid of.
But here is the pivot point the source offers. This is the big reframe. We need to reframe the mess.
Okay.
Let's go back to the kitchen analogy because I think it's the most relatable one. If you walk into a kitchen and it is pristine, counters gleaming, no dishes, the sink is dry, what is happening in that kitchen?
I'm saying it's a showroom, it's a museum, it's for a magazine shoot, not for life.
Exactly. No productivity is happening there. No nourishment is being created. Now, if you walk in and there are vegetable peels on the counter, a pot boiling over on the stove, flour on the floor, what is happening?
Dinner is being made. Something good is happening.
Progress is happening. Transformation is happening. You cannot transform raw ingredients into a finished meal without a temporary state of disorder.
The mess.
That disorder is the mechanism of change. It's not a bug, it's the feature.
So the mess isn't failure. The mess is the byproduct of the work. It's the evidence of effort.
I'm cooking. That's what you need to tell yourself. When you look at your messy spreadsheet that doesn't balance yet, don't say, I'm a disaster. Say, I'm cooking. When you look at your clumsy first draft, don't say, I'm a bad writer. Say, I'm cooking.
But we judge ourselves so harshly for the flour on the floor. We think a real professional wouldn't make this mess. We think if we were smarter or more disciplined, the process would be clean.
Which is a complete fantasy. Go into the back of a Michelin star restaurant during service. Is it calm? Is it pristine?
No, it's chaos. It's loud.
It's controlled chaos. It's sweaty. It's intense. There are spills. But they don't stop service and say, oh no, I dropped an onion, shut down the restaurant, send the customers home. We try again tomorrow.
That would be insane.
Of course. They just pick up the onion and keep moving. They keep cooking.
Because they're focused on the outcome.
They prioritize the output, the meal, over the process appearance, the clean counter. Perfectionists prioritize the clean counter over the meal.
That is a crucial distinction. We are prioritizing the aesthetic of productivity over the product of productivity.
Yes. Write that down.
We want to look like we're winning more than we want to actually win.
Ouch.
Yes.
We want to signal competence to ourselves. We want our process to reflect our ideal self-image. But real competence looks messy. Real competence is being in the mud and not freaking out.
Okay. I'm convinced. I am fully on board. I want to stop bulldozing my house. I want to cook dinner, mess and all. But how?
The practicalities.
Yes. Let's get to section 5. Practical ways to break the cycle. Because willpower alone isn't going to do it. The source is pretty specific here.
And this is where it gets really helpful. The first pillar is a concept called staying with the process.
Which, to be honest, sounds a bit like just don't quit, which is annoying advice.
It can sound that way.
Can we break that down? What does it actually mean in practice?
It's deeper than don't quit. It's about refusal to reset. It's a conscious, cognitive refusal to use the reset button as your primary tool. Let's take a concrete scenario to make this real. You have a morning routine. You decide. 6 or 2 a.m. wake up, meditate for 10 minutes, journal. Run 3 miles, the whole 9 yards. The classic, I'm going to change my life protocol. We've all been there. We've all written it down.
Exactly. Monday is great. You feel amazing. Tuesday is great. Wednesday, you oversleep.
The inevitable happens.
You wake up at 7:30. You're late. You grab a donut instead of a smoothie. You rush to work, stressed.
The Wednesday slump. My instinct is, well, the week is tainted. The routine is broken. I've failed.
The streak is over.
The streak is over. I'll just survive until Sunday, eat whatever I want, be lazy, and I'll start fresh next Monday.
That is the trap. That is the cycle. That is the bulldozer revving its engine.
So what does staying with the process look like on Thursday morning?
Thursday morning, the alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You do not try to make up for Wednesday. You don't try to run 6 miles to compensate.
No self-punishment.
You do not punish yourself. You do not scrap the plan. Yeah. You simply do Thursday.
You resume. You don't restart. Think about Netflix. If you pause a movie to go get a snack or to enter the door, do you restart the movie from the beginning when you come back?
No, that would be crazy. I'd never see the ending of anything. I'd be watching the opening credits for the rest of my life.
Exactly. But we do this with our lives. We pause, and then we rewind to the beginning. The strategy is just press play. Pick up exactly where you left off, mess and all. Wednesday was a pause. It wasn't a stop. It wasn't a cancellation of the whole series.
I love that. Resume, don't restart. That's a mantra right there. This leads to another strategy the source mentions, which I really love. Lowering the bar for maintenance.
This is crucial for the all-or-nothing people. The A+ or F- people.
Guilty. 100%. If I can't do the full hour workout, why bother doing anything? If I can't write 1,000 words, I won't write any words.
And that logic ensures you eventually do nothing. Because life will get in the way. There will be days you don't have an hour.
Many days.
The source suggests you need to develop a B- mode. Or even a C mode.
What does a C mode look like? I'm not sure my brain can even compute that.
A C mode is, I'm too tired for the hour workout at the gym. I will do 10 minutes of stretching in my pajamas in the living room. I won't even put on gym shoes.
That feels pathetic, though. My ego hates that. It screams, that doesn't count.
It feels pathetic to your ego. Your ego wants the A+ performance. But to your habit formation, to the part of your brain building consistency, it is gold.
Why?
Because it keeps the thread unbroken. An F, doing nothing, severs the connection. It breaks the chain. A C keeps the line moving. It reinforces the identity of, I am a person who shows up.
So it's about continuity over intensity.
Yes. 1,000 times, yes. You are proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who shows up, even when it's ugly, especially when it's ugly. A sloppy workout is infinitely better than a skipped workout because the sloppy workout maintains the rhythm.
I like the idea of finding the thread. The source talks about this with projects too. If everything is on fire, don't burn the tapestry.
Right. Let's apply it to a bigger situation. Let's say you're an entrepreneur, you launched a project, and it's going sideways. The marketing isn't working, the customers are confused, the tech is glitchy, everything feels wrong.
The impulse is to delete the whole project. This idea is dead. I need a new idea.
It's the ultimate restart. Shut down the company and start something new. Instead, the source says to look at the mess. Find the one thing that is working.
The one thread.
The one thread. maybe the marketing copy is bad, but the product code is solid. Okay, pull on the thread of the code. Maybe the customers are confused, but the ones who get it are huge fans. Okay, talk to them. Pull on that thread.
Build out from the center of what works rather than wiping the slate clean because of what's failing.
It's salvage versus scrap.
Salvage versus scrap. I like that.
Salvage is a much more mature emotional state. It requires you to look at the wreckage and see value. It requires you to say, this is broken, but it's not trash. And that's a hard thing for a perfectionist to do.
Let's move to section 6, the key takeaways. Because this changes how we view success entirely. We need to look at the big picture.
The source distills this down to one powerful truth, and if you remember nothing else, remember this. Progress usually looks messy long before it looks successful.
We hear that, and it sounds like a nice bumper sticker. It's a good quote for a poster. But I don't think we believe it.
We don't internalize it.
Because when I look at Instagram, or I look at my competitors, or I look at successful people in my field, I don't see mess. I see success. I see the finished product.
You are comparing your behind-the-scenes blooper reel to their highlight reel.
Always.
You see the finished book on the shelf. You don't see the 14 terrible drafts in the trash. You don't see the editor tearing it apart with red ink. You don't see the author crying in the shower. You don't see the panic attacks at 3 a.m.
You just see the polished final result.
And so we assume, because ours is messy, we're doing it wrong. We think, if I was as talented as them, this would be easy. This would be clean.
Correct. And that is the fatal error. The mess isn't evidence that you're doing it wrong.
Say it again.
The mess is not evidence you're doing it wrong.
It's evidence that you are deep in the process. It's evidence that you are actually in the arena wrestling with the problem.
So the implication is, if it feels messy, keep going. That's the sign.
If it feels messy, you're probably in the middle. And the only way out of the middle is through. You cannot back up and start over to avoid the middle. You will just end up back there again, older and more tired.
So we need to redefine done.
Absolutely. Done is better than perfect.
Always.
Always. A finished, slightly imperfect thing exists in the world. It can be improved. It can be iterated upon. It can get feedback. It has value.
A perfect, unstarted thing
is a hallucination. It has zero value. It exists only in your head.
There's a line you used earlier that I want to circle back to because I think it's the perfect antidote. You can't edit a blank page.
That's the writer's mantra. And it applies to everything. You can edit a bad page. You can fix a bad strategy. You can correct a bad workout form, but you cannot improve nothing.
The blank slate offers you zero leverage.
Zero. The messy draft, the flawed project, the imperfect routine that offers you raw material. It gives you something to work with.
It's the antidote to the blank slate addiction. We think the blank slate is freedom. Actually, the blank slate is a prison.
It's a prison of potential. You are trapped in what could be instead of grappling with what is. The messy draft is the door to reality. It's your escape route.
So bringing this all home, the danger we've identified today is that this fresh start, this seductive Monday morning energy is a barrier.
It masquerades as a helper. It feels like a friend. It whispers in your ear, hey, let's just restart. It'll be easier. It'll be cleaner.
But it's not a friend.
It's a saboteur. It keeps you in the shallow end of the pool where it's safe, preventing you from ever swimming out to the deep end where the real work and the real reward is.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. As you're listening to this, we want you to identify one area in your life where you are tempted to wipe the slate clean.
Take a second and really think about it. Maybe it's a diet you ruined yesterday because you had pizza.
Maybe it's a novel you stuck in a drawer because chapter 3 was boring to write.
Maybe it's a budget you blew this month, so you just stopped tracking your spending altogether.
You are feeling that urge to scrap it, to wait for Monday, to buy the new notebook, to archive the project.
Don't
do it. Just for today. Do not reset.
Pick up the messy pieces. Resume.
Do a C- job today if you have to. Write one bad sentence. Log one expense. Go for a 10-minute walk.
Just press play.
And here is a final provocative thought to leave you with, reflecting on everything we've discussed from Coffee Break.
If you are waiting for the conditions to be perfect to continue, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Are you waiting to grow, or are you waiting to feel safe?
Because growth is never safe. It's messy by definition.
And safety rarely leads to growth.
That's the question. Are you building a house, or are you just pouring foundations?
Build the walls, even if they're crooked. You can fix them later.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. Embrace the mess, everyone.
See you in the middle.
Bye for now.
Come on.
us on Coffee Break. If this conversation stayed with you, you can find more episodes here on the channel. Until next time, take care!